Imagine a world where your deepest fears take form, but they aren't visible to the naked eye. Picture an existence where the most horrifying elements are not conceived by the sight but by the mind. This is the realm of unseen horror, a domain where dread is born from the unknown, the unseen, the ungraspable. It is often said that what we can't see scares us the most, and in this world, that saying takes on a chilling reality. Now allow me to introduce you to our main character, a young woman with an extraordinary gift, or perhaps a curse. She's always had a peculiar ability, a sixth sense if you will, to perceive the unseen. She navigates through life, constantly sensing the invisible terrors that lurk in the shadows of the ordinary. But what happens when this unseen terror starts to make itself known? Just when she thought she had control over her unique ability, something changed. Suddenly, the world around her began to shift in strange and terrifying ways. Items began to move on their own, as if pulled by an invisible hand. The whisper of odd noises filled the air, a symphony of soft, inexplicable sounds that sent shivers down her spine. And then there was the feeling of being watched. It was a constant, gnawing sensation that made her skin crawl and her heart race. It was as if a pair of unseen eyes were locked onto her, tracking her every move. The fear inside her began to grow, a creeping dread that the unseen was not just a figment of her imagination, but a horrifying reality she could not escape. As the invisible nightmare unfolded, she was consumed by a chilling realization. But what if the unseen terror wasn't just making itself known to her, but to everyone else, too? As days turned into weeks, the terror grew stronger, and it wasn't just her who was experiencing it. The once quiet whispers of the unseen had now grown into a deafening roar. Homes, streets, entire neighborhoods were now under the grip of this invisible nightmare, and the city was in the throes of a panic never seen before. The unseen, once a mere spectre in the night, was now an aggressive force to be reckoned with. Lights flickering, doors slamming, strange shadows moving around. The unseen was making its presence known in the most terrifying ways. The fear was palpable, as the once bustling city was now a ghost town, its inhabitants too afraid to step out of their homes, too scared to even breathe a sigh of relief. In the midst of this bedlam, our main character, the one who first felt the unseen's icy touch, felt a strange sense of responsibility. She knew she had to do something. She had to confront the unseen terror, not just for herself, but for her city, for the people who were now living in constant fear. With a determined heart and a courage born out of necessity, she prepared to face the unseen. But would she be able to stand against an enemy she couldn't see? Would she be able to lift the veil of fear that had fallen over her city? Would she be able to face the unseen and save her city? Or would the unseen consume them all? Armed with nothing but her courage, she stood against the unseen terror. The air hung heavy with foreboding as she braced herself for the final confrontation. Her heart pounded like a drum in the silence of the night, each beat echoing the seconds ticking away before the inevitable clash. Every shadow seemed to pulse with the unseen, the dread lurking just beyond her sight. But she had a weapon, a unique ability that was her only hope. She could see the unseen. With a deep breath, she opened her eyes to the world, hidden in the darkness, finally revealing the terror's true form. It was a sight that would have driven anyone else to madness, a grotesque perversion of reality that existed only in the deepest recesses of nightmares. But she stared it down, her fear replaced with a fierce determination. The unseen terror was a monstrous entity, a twisted amalgamation of darkness and despair, but in its presence she found her resolve, her defiance shining brighter than ever. The battle was intense, a dance of terror and courage. She fought with all her might, her will, against the monstrous entity. The struggle was brutal, the tension palpable, but her courage never faltered. She was the embodiment of bravery, standing tall against the embodiment of fear. In the end, it was the unseen terror that should have been afraid of her. And just like that, the unseen became seen and the terror ended.